The sudden silence. For 30 long years, Earth had been at peace. The scars of the great alien invasion were still fresh in the minds of humanity. It was a war that had almost destroyed everything. Alien ships, far more advanced than anything Earth had, arrived in a sudden, brutal assault. They came with the power to crush entire cities, with weapons that could turn the sky into fire and the seas into steam. But humans had fought back. Against all odds, they had driven the invaders away, and the alien fleet had vanished as quickly as it came. Since then, Earth had been quiet. There were no signs of the aliens anymore. People had rebuilt their lives, and humanity had returned to its normal pace. The governments, the scientists, and the military went back to their daily work. Life continued, but that peace would not last forever. One day, out of nowhere, a strange signal was detected. It started as a faint, almost unnoticeable glitch. At first, no one thought much of it. Earth's satellite systems were constantly picking up background noise from the vastness of space, but this wasn't like the usual static. It was a pattern, a repeating pattern, like a code. And it wasn't from Earth. The scientists and military who monitored Earth's communication systems were the first to notice the anomaly. The signal was weak, but it was getting stronger. At first, they assumed it was a simple mistake, a malfunction in the equipment. But as the days passed, the signal didn't fade. It only grew clearer and more distinct. It was something that couldn't be ignored. Someone, or something, was trying to contact them. It didn't take long before the world's best experts were involved. The military scrambled their top analysts, and the world's leading scientists were called in to decode the message. It wasn't long before they discovered something chilling. The signal was coming from deep in space, beyond the outer planets, beyond the asteroid belt, way past the known borders of the solar system. The signal was old, but it was unmistakable. The source: the aliens who had invaded 30 years ago. This discovery sent shockwaves across the globe. The world's leaders gathered in a special meeting, urgently discussing the implications. The signal wasn't just a random noise. It was a message, and its meaning was clear. The aliens were back. At first, there was disbelief. After all, they had left so suddenly all those years ago. No one had expected them to return. The alien fleet had vanished without a trace, leaving nothing behind but memories of their destructive power. Earth had rebuilt. Earth had moved on. And now, after 3 decades of peace, the aliens were coming back. It didn't make sense. Why now? Why after so many years? But the more the scientists analyzed the signal, the more it became clear that the aliens were preparing for something big. The tone of the message was cold and demanding, almost arrogant. It was a simple message, but it carried the weight of a warning. We are coming back. This time, you will not be able to stop us. Fear began to spread like wildfire. People tried to remain calm, but the thought of the alien invaders returning with a vengeance was too much to ignore. No one knew what to expect. Would the aliens bring warships like the ones before, or would they have something even worse? And why hadn't they come back sooner? Had they been gathering strength all this time? Or were they simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The governments began to prepare. Military bases went on high alert, and every corner of Earth was being monitored for any sign of alien ships. In every city, every country, there was a growing sense of unease. People looked up at the sky with nervous eyes, wondering if today would be the day the warships appeared. Then, something strange happened. The signal changed. It wasn't just a message anymore. Now, the aliens were sending something else. A series of strange, encrypted images appeared, slowly filling the screens of every government office, every military base, every top-secret research facility. The images were complex, showing massive ships, unlike anything Earth had ever seen. They were enormous, the size of moons, the size of suns. The aliens were coming back, and they were bringing warships so large that no one on Earth could even imagine their power. The military leaders tried to make sense of the images, But the truth was undeniable. The aliens were coming back, and they were coming back with something that could destroy Earth in an instant. No one knew how to fight back against such a force. Earth's weapons, which had been enough to drive the aliens away 30 years ago, were no match for the ships that were now heading toward them. The tension across the planet grew unbearable. Governments began to issue warnings to their citizens. People were told to prepare, to be ready for whatever was to come. But how could they prepare for something they didn't understand? How could they prepare for warships the size of suns? As the days passed, the feeling of dread grew. The aliens weren't just coming. They were bringing their full power with them. And Earth had no idea what to do next. The world waited in silence, each person wondering what would happen when the aliens arrived. Would humanity survive this time? Would they be able to defend themselves against the most powerful force they had ever known? Or would Earth fall, just as it almost had 30 years ago? No one had answers, but one thing was certain. The aliens were coming, and they were bringing warships bigger than suns. The unexpected return. The world had barely started to process the terrifying reality of the alien signal when, without warning, Earth's atmosphere began to change. It wasn't a shift in weather patterns or an anomaly caused by natural forces. No, this was something far more unsettling, something the world wasn't prepared for. It started with strange, flickering lights in the sky. At first, they were subtle, like distant stars shifting in an unfamiliar constellation. But soon, those lights grew brighter, and they began to move in unnatural patterns. Something was coming, and humanity could no longer ignore it. It was not just the aliens' message that was arriving. It was them. Governments around the world were in chaos. The military scrambled to track the incoming ships. Global communications were saturated with reports of unidentified craft entering Earth's atmosphere. In cities around the world, people began to stare at the sky with a mix of awe and fear. Could these be the alien warships the signal had warned about? Then, on the third day after the strange lights first appeared, the truth was revealed. Massive shadowy shapes blotted out the stars. The warships had arrived, just as the signal had predicted. But nothing could have prepared humanity for the sight. These ships were beyond anything Earth's scientists had ever imagined, so enormous that their sheer size made the planet feel small. As they drifted into view, their outlines were barely visible against the backdrop of space. It was as if the sky itself had been torn open, revealing these colossal machines. People gazed up at the ships in stunned silence, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Each warship seemed to dwarf anything humanity had ever built. They moved slowly, almost methodically, as if they had all the time in the universe. Their size was impossible to fathom. They weren't just larger than anything humans had ever seen. They were larger than suns. Some of the ships were as wide as entire continents. Others stretched like massive tendrils, casting vast shadows over the land below. The air was thick with tension as Earth's military forces began to mobilize, but there was little they could do. The alien ship's mere presence made Earth's defenses seem like toys. The weapons humanity had used to defeat the first wave of invaders 30 years ago were now laughably outdated in the face of this new threat. In every corner of the world, people watched as the alien armada drifted into position. The sky was filled with these gargantuan ships, their smooth, dark surfaces shimmering with energy as if they absorbed light itself. No one spoke. There were no cries of panic, only a dead silence as people came to the painful realization that Earth was now at the mercy of a force far beyond their comprehension. Then came the voice, the same cold, unyielding voice that had first spoken through the signal. It echoed through the global communication systems, cutting through the air like a blade. The aliens weren't just invading Earth. They were here to reclaim what they had lost. "We return," the voice intoned, sending a chill down the spine of every person listening. "You may have won once, but that was only because we underestimated you. Now we are prepared. Now you will face the full might of our armada. This time, there will be no mercy." The aliens' words were spoken with an air of finality, as if Earth's fate had already been sealed in their minds. They had come to finish what they started. In military command centers around the world, officers and generals exchanged nervous glances. They had all heard the same message. But no one had expected the aliens to return so powerful, so resolute. Their warships were beyond anything humanity had ever faced, and their threats were not just words. They were backed by the weight of an unimaginable force. Across the planet, world leaders tried to rally their people, but there was little they could say to reassure anyone. How could they promise safety when they were staring at an invasion force that was almost beyond comprehension? As the aliens' warships slowly maneuvered into position, something unexpected happened. The largest of the ships began to glow with an eerie bluish light. It was as if the ship was charging some sort of weapon, and all of Earth held its breath. The sky seemed to shimmer with the energy emanating from the ship, and the air grew thick with anticipation. Could this be the beginning of the end? But just as quickly as it had started, the light faded. The ships came to a halt, as if waiting for something. For a moment, everything was still. Then, once again, the voice boomed over every communication system on Earth. "Consider this your warning," it said. "We are prepared to destroy your planet and leave nothing but ash behind. But we offer you a choice. Surrender now, and we will leave you alive, but subjugated. Your world will belong to us. Refuse, and we will annihilate you." The threat hung in the air like a weight too heavy to bear. Humanity was at a crossroads. Surrender meant living under the rule of these unstoppable invaders, while fighting back meant facing certain destruction. People could only stare at the massive ships above, knowing that they had no chance of winning a war against such overwhelming power. And yet, deep within the heart of every human, there was a spark of defiance, a refusal to simply give up. Humanity had always fought back, no matter the odds. Somewhere, in the shadows of Earth's military facilities, plans were already being drawn. The aliens may have returned with warships that could blot out the sun, but humanity had something they hadn't considered: human ingenuity. Would it be enough to overcome the alien threat? No one knew for sure, but the fire of resistance had already started to burn brighter than before. And so, the waiting game began. The aliens were watching. Humanity was preparing. But one thing was certain: this was not going to be an easy fight. The hidden strength. Days passed, and Earth held its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The alien warships hovered ominously above the planet, their colossal presence casting long shadows over cities, forests, and oceans alike. No one knew exactly when the invasion would begin, but the waiting was unbearable. Governments scrambled to make decisions, their leaders desperately trying to find some way to fight back. The message from the alien commander echoed constantly in the minds of every person on Earth: surrender now or face annihilation. But as the world trembled, something unexpected began to unfold beneath the surface. While the alien ships were on full display, preparing for what seemed like the final move in a decades-long game, the humans weren't just sitting idly by. Beneath the public eye, a different kind of operation was taking place. Across the globe, underground bunkers and secret facilities, hidden deep within mountains and forgotten corners of the Earth, were alive with activity. The governments, scientists, and military forces had long known that they could never match the aliens' sheer power with brute force alone. Earth's weapons, while advanced, were no match for the gargantuan warships that blocked out the sky. But they had something the aliens couldn't anticipate: human creativity. In secret labs across the planet, a new kind of weapon was being developed. It wasn't just about more firepower, it was about outsmarting the invaders. People from all over the world, from engineers to hackers, military strategists to philosophers, had come together to forge a weapon unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. While the aliens believed they had Earth cornered, humans were working on an unprecedented scale. They had one advantage. The aliens were arrogant. They assumed that after 30 years of peace, humanity would have lost its edge. They believed humans were fragile, complacent, and predictable. but they underestimated the human spirit. One such project was being overseen by a team of brilliant engineers deep within the Arctic Circle. The team had been working for years on a massive defense system, an advanced satellite network that could potentially disrupt the alien ship's communication systems. If they could jam the aliens' ability to coordinate their movements and attacks, even for a short time, it could level the playing field. Meanwhile, in a hidden base beneath the Sahara Desert, another team was working on something even more daring, an experimental spacecraft capable of infiltrating the heart of the alien fleet. This ship was unlike anything Earth had ever built. It was small, stealthy, and equipped with the latest human technology. But what set it apart was a new form of propulsion that could allow it to slip past the aliens' radar undetected. The plan: send a team of elite soldiers to board one of the massive alien warships, learn its secrets, and find a way to cripple their power from the inside. The strategy was risky, perhaps even suicidal. But the stakes were too high. Earth had no other choice. They needed to take the fight to the heart of the enemy's power. And with no time to spare, the first covert team prepared for its mission. While these efforts were taking place in secrecy, the rest of the world watched in horror as the alien fleet continued to circle the planet. News reports showed the warships in incredible detail, their immense structures casting ominous shadows over the Earth's surface. The aliens made no further threats. They simply watched. Their patience seemed infinite, as if they were waiting for Earth to make its final move, to either submit or face the wrath of their unstoppable force. On the surface, humans tried to keep a sense of normalcy. People went about their days, but there was an underlying fear in everything. Schools were closed. Military personnel were stationed everywhere. Cities became heavily guarded. There were even rumors of mass evacuations being planned, though it was unclear where anyone could go to escape the alien force. Then, after what felt like an eternity, something changed. The alien ship shifted ever so slightly. The silence that had hung in the air for days broke. The slightest movement sent ripples of anxiety across the planet. Was the invasion finally beginning? Were the aliens preparing to destroy Earth? No one knew. But what they didn't expect was the sudden, deafening roar of Earth's own defense systems coming to life. Across the globe, humanity had activated their hidden weapons. The satellites, the secret fleets, the hidden fighters. They all came online at once. For the first time in days, the aliens' smug confidence faltered. It wasn't much, but the humans had thrown the first punch. The advanced satellites did indeed succeed in jamming the alien fleet's communication systems, throwing their ships into temporary disarray. For the briefest moment, the aliens were confused, unable to communicate with one another or coordinate their movements. It was like a brief crack in the armor, a glimmer of hope. The alien fleet had been paralyzed, and the humans wasted no time. In the vast depths of Earth's underground bases, soldiers prepared to launch their covered spacecraft toward the alien warships. Their mission was clear: infiltrate, learn, and sabotage. If the humans were going to survive this invasion, they had to strike now, before the aliens could regroup and wipe out Earth once and for all. As the stealth ship roared to life and launched into the void of space, a sense of unity spread across the Earth. People realized that they weren't powerless after all. The fight wasn't over. This was humanity's moment to prove that no matter how big, how powerful, or how intimidating the enemy, Earth would always stand strong. The quiet hum of the stealth ship's engines was the only sound as it slipped past the alien blockade, heading straight for the heart of the invaders' fleet. Earth had one chance. Would this be the beginning of the end for humanity? Or would this daring mission be the spark of something much greater, a fight back that could shake the very foundation of the galaxy? Only time would tell. But as the ship sped toward its dangerous destination, one thing was certain: humanity was not done fighting yet. The silent strike. As the stealth ship silently cut through the void of space, Earth's defenders held their breath, praying that the aliens wouldn't detect their presence. The ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, sleek, nearly invisible, and equipped with technology that had been developed in secret for years. Its hull was coated with adaptive materials that blended with the dark fabric of space, making it virtually undetectable to the alien ships above. The only sounds inside were the soft hum of its engines and the controlled breathing of the elite soldiers on board. The team, composed of the best and brightest from Earth's military forces, had trained for months in secrecy. They were experts in infiltration, sabotage, and survival, but none of them had ever imagined they would be facing an enemy like this. Their mission was simple, but the stakes were unimaginably high. Infiltrate the heart of the alien armada, find a way to disable their warships from within, and gather intelligence on their weapons and technology. As the ship approached the heart of the enemy fleet, the crew's nerves were on edge. The sheer size of the alien warships in orbit was overwhelming. Some of them seemed to stretch for miles, their dark forms blotting out the stars as they moved in perfect unison. No matter how much technology humanity had developed, these ships were on a scale that was almost beyond comprehension. The ship's lead officer, Captain Lena Hart, stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the glowing holographic display before her. She wasn't just leading this mission. She was carrying the weight of all humanity's hopes and fears on her shoulders. If they failed, Earth's fate would be sealed. The alien fleet would move in and destroy everything. But Lena wasn't afraid. She had been trained for this. The feeling of fear had been replaced by determination. This mission wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humanity could never be underestimated. The aliens had made a grave mistake when they thought they could crush humanity with overwhelming force. They hadn't counted on human resilience. Approaching target zone, Lena announced calmly, her voice steady, even though her heart was racing. The ship's cloaking systems flickered as they adjusted, and the crew braced themselves. Suddenly, a burst of static rang through the communication system, sending a chill down the spine of every crew member. It wasn't a random glitch. It was deliberate. The alien ships had noticed something. The momentary gap in communication from Earth's satellites had closed, and the aliens had begun scanning for intruders. Prepare for evasive action, Lena barked, her voice sharp with urgency. The crew scrambled into action, their training kicking in. But the stealth ship was designed to be quick and agile. If they could just hold their ground for a few more minutes, they'd be past the most dangerous part of their mission. The ship's crew could see the shadows of the alien warships growing ever closer, their vast forms moving like slow-moving storms. The tension was unbearable. Lena watched the radar screen intently, waiting for any sign of the enemy's next move. But then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the threat dissipated. The enemy ships had moved away, their attention diverted by another disturbance in the distance. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, but Lena knew better than to let her guard down. Maintain course. We're not out of this yet. They pressed forward, and after what seemed like an eternity, the stealth ship reached its target, one of the smaller, but still enormous, alien warships. It was stationed at the edge of the fleet, its weapons focused outward, unaware that a threat was creeping from within. With precision and speed, the crew activated the ship's boarding mechanism. A small, specially designed drone shot out from the ship and latched onto the hull of the alien warship. It was a perfect fit, just enough space for it to attach without triggering any alarms. Lena's heart raced as she watched the drone latch on. We're in. Inside the drone, the team of soldiers quickly disembarked, clad in advanced armor that would help them blend into the alien vessel. They moved quickly and silently, bypassing security measures with ease. The first hurdle had been crossed. Their presence on the warship had gone undetected. But the real challenge was about to begin. They were deep inside enemy territory now. The alien warship was a labyrinth of cold metal corridors and alien technology, all of it unfamiliar and menacing. The team couldn't afford to make a single mistake. Lena's second-in-command, Sergeant Jason Cole, led the way. His training in alien languages had paid off. As they crept through the ship, they encountered strange symbols and interfaces. But Jason was quick, translating the alien text with precision and unlocking doors that would have otherwise been sealed. Their mission was twofold: sabotage and intelligence. The primary objective was to plant explosives deep within the warship's engines, crippling it from the inside. But if they had the chance, they were also to gather as much information as they could on the alien technology. What were these warships capable of? And how could humanity use that knowledge to turn the tide of the war? As they reached the engine room, the size and complexity of the alien power source left the team speechless. It was like nothing they had ever seen, an energy core that radiated a powerful, almost tangible force. The team planted their explosives around it with careful precision, but time was running out. They had only minutes before the alien ship's security systems would detect their presence. But just as they were about to complete the sabotage, a shrill alarm pierced the air. The enemy had detected them. "Move, move, move," Lena shouted, adrenaline surging through her body. The team raced down the narrow hallways, knowing they had only moments before the aliens would swarm the ship in full force. They couldn't afford to be caught. They had to make it back to the stealth ship and get out before the alien fleet realized what had happened. As the team sprinted through the hallways, fighting off alien soldiers who tried to stop them, Lena couldn't help but feel a sense of disbelief. They had made it this far. They had infiltrated the heart of the enemy fleet and planted the bombs that would destroy one of their largest warships. But would it be enough? Would humanity finally have the edge it needed to fight back? The countdown on Lena's communicator flashed. There was no turning back now. They had triggered the final sequence. Boom. The warship exploded in a burst of light that sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet. The team barely managed to escape, slipping back into the stealth ship as the alien ship disintegrated behind them. Earth had just dealt a powerful blow. The fight was far from over, but humanity had just proven it could strike back. The war had only just begun. The calm before the storm. As the stealth ship soared back through the vast emptiness of space, its engines humming softly, the crew felt a mix of relief and apprehension. The explosion they had set off on the alien warship had been a success, one of the biggest victories humanity had seen in decades. Yet, the journey wasn't over. The crew knew that the aliens would soon realize what had happened, and retaliation was inevitable. Captain Lena Hart stood at the command console, staring out into the endless void. Her eyes were tired, but they burned with a fierce determination. They had struck a decisive blow, but the war was far from over. The aliens weren't known for their mercy, and it was only a matter of time before they came for Earth with everything they had. "Report," Lena commanded, her voice steady despite the weight on her shoulders. Sergeant Jason Cole, who had been monitoring the communications channels, turned to her with a concerned look. "We've made it back into Earth's defensive perimeter. No sign of alien pursuit yet, but they're going to be hunting for us. They won't take kindly to losing one of their flagships." Lena nodded. She had expected as much. The warships they had faced were the tip of the alien spear, and the rest of their fleet would be coming after them with more ferocity than ever before. The success of the mission had sent ripples through the enemy's ranks, and now humanity had a chance to take the upper hand, if they could survive the coming storm. "I want every available ship mobilized," Lena said, her tone commanding. "This victory has to count for something. We'll need all our resources to hold them off." Jason hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. "Understood. I'll get the message out to command." The crew gathered in the main briefing room, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of holographic maps and displays. They were strategizing for the next phase of the battle. As much as they had learned from infiltrating the alien warship, they knew that humanity's strength lay not just in technology, but in something much deeper: their resilience. Meanwhile, in the depths of the alien fleet, far from Earth's reach, the aliens were already making plans of their own. Their leaders, a council of powerful beings who viewed themselves as the pinnacle of intelligence and strength in the galaxy, were furious. A human attack on their warship had never been anticipated, let alone successful. We've underestimated them. The leader of the council, a towering figure with gleaming black armor and sharp, calculating eyes, growled as he surveyed the damage reports. These humans, they're different from what we thought. The council had believed that Earth's inhabitants were weak and primitive, unworthy of notice in the grand scheme of the universe. But now, they were being forced to reconsider. This was no longer just a mission of conquest. It was a war of survival. "We will crush them," the leader declared with cold certainty. "We will show them the true power of our armada. We will remind them of their place in the galaxy." He turned toward his subordinates, his voice low and dangerous. "Prepare the fleet. We are going to Earth." Back on Earth, however, there was no sign of fear. The humans had rallied behind their newfound strength, their victory over the alien warship igniting a fire of defiance. The governments, military leaders, and civilians alike were all united in their resolve to protect their home. They had fought long enough in the shadows. Now it was time to take the fight to the aliens. Lena's mind raced as she reviewed the intelligence they had gathered. The alien fleet was vast, their ships capable of unimaginable destruction. But they were not invincible. The key to their success lay in their arrogance. They thought they could wipe out humanity without a second thought, but they were about to learn a painful lesson. The captain's thoughts were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a tactical officer at her side. "Captain," the officer said, his voice tense, "we've detected a massive energy surge. It's coming from the edge of the solar system. It looks like the alien fleet is mobilizing." Lena's heart skipped a beat. They weren't just sending a few ships. This was an invasion. "Prepare all defenses," she ordered, her voice unwavering. "I don't care how many ships they send. Earth is not going down without a fight." As the crew scrambled to ready Earth's defenses, Lena could feel the weight of the moment. It was one thing to fight a single warship, but this was going to be different. The aliens weren't just attacking Earth. They were attacking humanity itself. This was their last chance to prove they were worthy of the stars. In the next few hours, Earth's defenses would face their greatest challenge. The stakes had never been higher. Every human soldier, every scientist, every engineer, and every citizen had a part to play in the defense of their home. There was no room for failure. The first alien ship to breach Earth's atmosphere was massive, larger than anything humanity had ever seen. Its dark hull shimmered with an eerie glow, its weapons ready to fire. It was a behemoth that seemed invincible. But humanity wasn't intimidated. The strength of their will, their ingenuity, and their refusal to be crushed would be their greatest weapon. The battle had begun. The battle of the ages. The silence that had descended over Earth's skies was shattered by a deafening roar. The first alien ship breached the atmosphere with terrifying speed, its massive form casting a shadow that blotted out the sun. It was a warship unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, its surface gleaming like dark steel, pulsating with energy. The ship's weapons began charging almost immediately, preparing to unleash destruction upon Earth. On the ground, people were glued to their screens, watching the unfolding chaos with a mixture of awe and fear. Military leaders, civilians, and soldiers alike stood ready for what was to come, the realization that Earth was no longer just a target. It was the final frontier of survival. Captain Lena Hart stood firm at the head of the command center. Her voice was steady, cutting through the tension as she gave orders to her team. "Activate all defense systems. We need to make sure this isn't just an invasion. It's going to be a battle, and we fight back." Despite the overwhelming odds, Lena felt the fires of hope burning brighter within her. This wasn't the time to back down. It was time to show the galaxy that humanity wasn't just a primitive species, waiting to be conquered. They had the will to fight, to survive, and they would make their enemies pay for underestimating them. As the alien ships continued to pour into the atmosphere, the skies above Earth became a battleground. The vast armada of alien warships filled the horizon, and each one dwarfed the human-made ships that defended the planet. Yet humanity's response was swift, efficient, and relentless. Hundreds of fighter jets, powered by cutting-edge technology, developed by Earth's finest scientists, screamed into the skies, their weapons aimed directly at the incoming invaders. Their first barrage hit the massive warship with an unexpected force. The alien ship shuddered under the impact, a wave of bright explosions cracking across its surface. The aliens were taken aback for a brief moment. They had not expected the human weapons to have any effect. But the humans had done something the aliens hadn't counted on. They had adapted. They had taken the alien technology they had recovered, improved upon it, and used it to fight back with precision. "Direct hit, Captain. Their shields are down," shouted one of the tactical officers. His eyes widened with excitement as he saw the results of the humans' first salvo. The alien ship, now vulnerable, retaliated fiercely. Beams of energy lashed out from its massive cannons, ripping through the sky with explosive power. But the human defenses were just as relentless. Missiles soared through the air, slamming into the alien vessel with pinpoint accuracy. Earth's fighters moved with agility, dodging blasts and striking their targets. The battle was nothing short of a spectacle, a chaotic dance between life and death, where humanity's resourcefulness and relentless spirit were on full display. But as the alien ships pushed deeper into Earth's atmosphere, Lena knew this wasn't just about winning the battle. It was about survival. Meanwhile, inside the alien warship, the atmosphere was tense. The alien commander, the towering figure who had once believed Earth's defenses were laughable, paced back and forth. His species, known for their supreme intelligence and advanced weaponry, had underestimated the humans at every turn. Now, the tide was turning. His warship had sustained significant damage, and his fleet was on the verge of chaos. "We cannot lose," the alien commander snarled. "Prepare the quantum disruptor. We will end this once and for all." In the depths of the warship, engineers scrambled to activate the quantum disruptor, a weapon so powerful it could destabilize the entire planetary system. One shot from this weapon could destroy Earth in an instant. The commander's plan was simple: obliterate Earth before the humans could organize any more resistance. Back on Earth, Lena was aware of the stakes. She knew the aliens would go for the kill shot. Their greatest weapon was ready to fire. As the alien ship began charging its quantum disruptor, a sense of urgency rippled through the command center. "We need to stop that weapon," Lena said, her voice a fierce whisper. "Now." "Captain," Sergeant Cole said, "I've got an idea. We can send a special team in. We've been developing a new prototype stealth ship that could make it through their defenses undetected. But we only have one shot." Lena's eyes narrowed. The plan was risky, too risky for some, but there was no other option. She knew it was the only way to have a chance at stopping the alien warship and saving Earth. "Get the team ready," she ordered. "We make this count." Meanwhile, the skies above Earth were filled with the chaos of war. Explosions, streaks of energy, and the sounds of countless ships in combat filled the air. The alien ships had underestimated the humans before, but now they were realizing that Earth's fighters were more than capable of holding their own. Humanity was fighting back, and the aliens couldn't handle it. As the stealth ship prepared to launch, Lena and her team knew they had one chance. They would have to infiltrate the heart of the alien warship, disable the quantum disruptor, and return before it was too late. But as the countdown to the mission began, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something even darker was looming on the horizon. The aliens might have underestimated humanity before, but now they were learning the true cost of their arrogance. The fate of Earth and the galaxy hung in the balance. The final hour. The mission was set. The stakes could not have been higher. Captain Lena Hart stood before her crew, her face a mix of determination and resolve. The stealth ship was prepped, and the special ops team was suited up, ready to infiltrate the heart of the alien warship. Time was running out, And with the quantum disruptor about to fire, Earth's survival depended on one final strike, one final gamble. Once we're inside their ship, there's no turning back, Lena said, her voice steady but filled with the weight of the moment. You've all trained for this. Trust in each other and trust in the mission. We're going to stop them. Her crew nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Sergeant Jason Cole, their most experienced operative, clapped his hands together, rallying his team. We've got one shot at this, people. We're making history. Let's show these aliens what humanity is really capable of. The stealth ship, silent and deadly, ascended into the skies above Earth. Its sleek design blended into the dark expanse of space, and within moments, it was speeding toward the enemy fleet at full throttle. The rest of the human forces, still engaged in battle with the alien ships, fought with all their might to keep the alien commanders distracted. Every move, every shot, bought them precious seconds, seconds that would mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Inside the alien warship, the quantum disruptor powered up, a hum vibrating through the hull of the ship. It was massive, the size of a small moon, and its destructive potential was beyond comprehension. The countdown to its activation had begun. But as the stealth ship neared the alien warship, a sudden realization hit Captain Hart. They had no idea what they would find once they breached the ship's defenses. The alien vessel was unlike anything they had encountered before. Its interior, its technology, and its systems were all built for creatures far stronger, far more resilient than humans. This won't be easy, Lena muttered to herself as she stared at the approaching warship. The stealth ship drifted closer, moving silently in the shadows of the enemy fleet. On board, Lena and her team prepared for their entry into the alien behemoth. They were ready for anything, or at least, they thought they were. The ship's hull shuddered as it entered the alien warship's docking bay, an eerie silence filling the space. The massive hangar doors shut behind them with a loud clang, and the crew immediately began to deploy. The stealth ship's doors opened slowly, revealing a maze of dark corridors, lit by eerie green lights that glowed faintly in the distance. Sergeant Cole led the charge, his rifle at the ready. His heart pounded in his chest, but his face was as calm as ever. This was his element, close-quarter combat, high-stakes infiltration. As his team moved deeper into the alien ship, they came across strange markings on the walls. The symbols were like nothing they had ever seen, twisting and warping in ways that defied normal logic. The air was thick with an otherworldly scent that made their skin crawl. "This place is nothing like we expected," Jason muttered, his eyes scanning the environment. "We're not here to admire the view," Lena replied firmly. "Keep moving." The team pressed forward, encountering strange alien creatures along the way. Alien sentinels who, unlike their masters, were not so easy to defeat. The humans had to rely on their advanced weapons and sharp wits to outmaneuver these threats, dodging and striking with precision. As they moved deeper into the bowels of the alien ship, the sounds of battle outside faded into silence. It was as though they had entered another world, one that was cold, sterile, and relentlessly hostile. Eventually, the team reached the heart of the ship. The central chamber, where the quantum disruptor was held, was vast and filled with alien technology that hummed with power. The disruptor itself was positioned in the center of the room, surrounded by an impenetrable force field. Its dark, menacing shape towered over them, and the air seemed to tremble with its power. "This is it," Lena said, her voice sharp. "We need to disable it now." But before they could move any closer, the alien commander's voice echoed through the chamber. His image appeared in a massive holographic display, towering over the humans like a god. "You think you can stop us?" The commander sneered, his voice deep and cold. "You are nothing but ants to us. Your weapons, your strength, none of it matters. Your planet will burn, and your species will be erased from the galaxy." Lena's eyes narrowed. This was the moment. She knew that they couldn't back down now. not when humanity's future hung in the balance. "We'll see about that," Lena shot back. "You're about to learn that humans don't just fight to survive. We fight to win." With a signal, the team set to work. They had only one chance to disable the disruptor. They'd need to bypass the force field and find a way to overload the ship's core. It wasn't going to be easy, but if they succeeded, Earth would live to see another day. The team worked in sync, using every piece of technology at their disposal. Each second that passed felt like an eternity. The tension was unbearable as Lena oversaw the operation, her eyes flicking between her team and the countdown on the screen. They were so close, but they didn't have much time before the alien commander's ship would unleash its wrath. The quantum disruptor's hum grew louder, signaling that it was almost ready to fire. The team's hands flew across their consoles, their focus absolute. "Almost there," Jason said, his voice tight with effort. Then, just as the alien commander began to laugh, confident in his victory, there was a sudden flash of light. The force field surrounding the quantum disruptor fizzled out, and with a violent shake of the ship, the team's efforts paid off. The quantum disruptor exploded in a blinding burst of energy, completely destabilizing the alien warship's core. In seconds, the ship began to fall apart, collapsing inward upon itself. "We did it," Lena breathed as the ship began to crumble around them. "Now let's get the hell out of here." The team made a swift retreat, their hearts pounding in their chests. They had done the impossible. They had stopped the alien threat, and the fate of Earth was no longer in their hands. It was in humanity's own.